What if every moment of fear and anxiety is just a temporary forgetting of your oneness with Source? What if every moment of doubt that you have ever felt came from overlooking the one presence that has never left you? And what if that vision of pure perception, the beatific vision of life itself, is not something you must develop or achieve, but something that is already given you? Today, we review the 5 ideas that restore the foundation of certainty, not the ego's certainty of being right, but divine certainty of your own true nature. The ideas are as follows. God goes with me wherever I go. God is my strength. Vision is God's gift. God is my source. I cannot see apart from God. God is the light in which I see. God is the mind with which I think. This review, Lesson 59, quietly dismantles the deepest delusion of the ego, which is that you exist apart from your source of being. But in truth, separation is not your problem. It is only your assumption. So the core insight of this review lesson is this: you are never separate from the source of your life, your vision, your strength, or your mind. We might put it another way and say every experience of weakness, confusion, or loneliness comes from forgetting that God is the source of all that you are, and that you are inseparable, moment by moment, from that source. The core perceptual error that we're aiming to undo here is this. It is the belief that I am alone, I am separate from God, that my strength, I must muster it up myself. My perception is both true and independent, and my mind is separate and private to me. Lesson 59 exposes the illusion that underlies all of these fearful assumptions. And it is the belief that the Son of God could exist apart from his source. Put another way, the belief that you could be apart from the source of life itself. This is the underlying premise that every experience of fear requires. But nothing you truly are exists apart from God. The one infinite creator whose omnipresence pervades all of creation could no more be apart from you than you could be apart from what is infinite. And remembering this is what restores certainty, clarity, vision, and strength. So now, let's use the 5 ideas of this review lesson as a step-by-step sequence to undo the belief in separation and restore the awareness of our true identity to mind. Step 1. God goes with me wherever I go. So, the ego's most painful illusion is its sense of isolation. It, in essence, proclaims that you are alone, that you must manage life on your own, by yourself, that you must defend yourself, you must plot and plan and protect. This lesson reveals something radically stabilizing, which is that you have never been separate from the presence that created you. That infinite intelligence is, in fact, in this very moment, operating in, through, and as your consciousness. The anxiety of separation dissolves when that sense of, we can say, companionship or maybe even oneness with God is remembered, is embraced. So we open to this awareness and we move to step 2. God is my strength. Vision is God's gift. Well, when you rely on personal strength, which is to say the strength of your separate self dream character identity, fear is inevitable and cannot be any other way. Why is that? It's because the personal self is not only limited, but actually illusory. It has no real power or strength, only the illusion of temporary power, perhaps. But strength that comes from the infinite creator is not effort. It is simply alignment. And likewise, vision is not something you produce, earn, achieve, or make happen. It is something that you finally open to receive. Let's go to step 3. God is my source. I cannot see apart from God. So perception becomes distorted when it tries to operate independently as a separate mind, a separate being, a separate self. The ego essentially says, I see with my own eyes, and what I see is true and accurate. But vision does not originate in the body and has nothing to do with eyes. Vision arises from the source of truth. Therefore, to see apart from the infinite creator could only mean one thing, which is that it would mean to see only illusion. Step 4. God is the light in which I see. We can easily agree that seeing requires light. Without light, nothing can be perceived. But what is this light? This lesson reveals a much deeper truth. The light of awareness itself comes from God. We're speaking about the light that illuminates your inner world even when your eyes are closed. You are not illuminating the world, but you are seeing through a light that has always been with you. And lastly, step 5, God is the mind with which I think. And this brings the realization to its deepest level. Mind itself is shared. It is not a private container limited to your body-based identity. You are not an isolated thinker generating independent personal thoughts. Your real thoughts are the thoughts shared with the infinite creator and all of creation. But this means one very important thing, which is that truth, with a capital T, is never absent from your mind. It is simply obscured by the thoughts you learned to believe in instead. Those very thoughts that you think in the language in which you speak, those thoughts are the thoughts of the dream matrix world. You didn't arrive with them. They belong to the world. But your real thoughts have nothing to do with the language of this world. They belong to God. So if we want to put this all together, the 5 ideas into perhaps 1 or 2 sentences, it might look something like this. We might say, fear. Fear begins when you believe you are separate from your source. That in and of itself is the very foundation of fear. Peace begins when you remember that you never left your source. So now, let us take our contemplation deeper. I want to invite you into a moment of stillness. Allow your body to relax, your breath to deepen. Allow your gaze to soften or your eyes to close. And lean fully into just this that is here now. Let's bring this conversation from theory into lived experience. So as you rest in presence, I want to invite you to think of a moment where you recently felt uncertain, alone, maybe overwhelmed or mentally or emotionally scattered, unsure of what to do. Allow a specific situation to come to mind. And as you behold it, begin to gently notice the assumption behind the feeling. That assumption may sound something like, I have to figure this out. Just take a moment to sense into that story behind the feeling. And as you find its edge, just gently ask yourself, what if I am not alone in this moment? What if the greater intelligence that created me is available to me? And rather than having to figure this out on my own, I could become receptive to the truth. And take these next few moments to just create that open space of receptivity. And simply notice, does that weight shift when you remember that you are not thinking alone, that your strength doesn't come from your ego? Take these next few moments to contemplate now. And now let's begin to unfold our contemplation into dialogue. Lesson 59 was not just about comforting us. It is really collapsing the illusion of separation at every level. It doesn't just say God is near, but there is no you apart from God. So if God goes with me wherever I go, then loneliness, separation, these are not a condition, but a belief. So, Shanti, when we feel alone, what version of ourselves are we assuming we are?
When we feel alone, we're usually identifying with the self that believes it's separate, the one that's forgotten its connection to everything. It's like we're playing a character in a movie who thinks they're all by themselves on an island, even though the whole crew is just off camera.
Wow, that's an interesting analogy. So, the whole crew being all of creation and the infinite creator in this sense, right?
Exactly. It's like we're choosing to focus on the tiny part of the screen where our character is instead of seeing the whole production.
I remember Dr. David Hawkins at one point pointing out that the experience of our ego-based thoughts are like being in a giant castle and walking into one of the rooms in that castle, and in one of those rooms there's a small old TV set, and all we're doing is we're just focused on that one TV set, overlooking the entirety of this kingdom.
That's a great way to put it. We get so caught up in the little drama on the screen, we forget we're in a castle with endless rooms to explore. It's like we choose the smallness instead of the vastness.
Yeah, very interesting to view it like that. In this lesson, it's also creating this contrast, right, between certainty and self-doubt. It says that if perfect certainty abides in the infinite creator, and the infinite creator abides in me, well then doubt cannot be ultimately true, right? But also, we can see that doubt can sometimes masquerade as humility. But is it really humility, or is it a misunderstanding of our identity?
That's sharp insight, Boris. I think doubt often masquerades as humility when we're clinging to the idea of a separate, limited self. True humility, to me, isn't about downplaying your inherent worth or connection to the divine. It's about recognizing that vastness without ego getting in the way, knowing you're part of something much larger and more profound than your individual drama. Doubt, on the other hand, usually comes from believing that drama is all there is.
Say more about that aspect, the doubt and the belief that drama is all there is.
Well, if you truly believe you're just this isolated individual, constantly at the mercy of external circumstances, then doubt becomes a really logical response. It's like, how could I possibly know anything for sure when the world is so chaotic and unpredictable? But that belief in isolation is the drama. It's the story we tell ourselves that keeps us feeling small and uncertain.
Yeah, and then we try to draw our sense of strength and power from that small and uncertain self, try to bolster it up with whatever we can find, right? And that's that journey of achievement that we talked about so many times throughout the lessons, the journey of effort. But in this lesson, it's pointing out also that God is our strength. Our strength is not this personal, illusory, separate self. And also that vision is the gift of God to us. So this really suggests that real seeing, like the true contact with reality with a capital R, creation with a capital C, isn't effortful, but rather something that is received. So I'm wondering, how often are we actually just exhausting ourselves trying to interpret life alone instead of allowing vision to be given to us?
I think we exhaust ourselves constantly trying to interpret life through our own limited lenses. It's like we're trying to figure out a complex puzzle with only a few pieces when the full picture is actually available to us if we just stop trying so hard and let it be revealed. We're so used to striving and figuring things out that the idea of simply receiving can feel almost alien,
Help us to bring it a little closer to home, so to speak. Instead of, let's say, us moving through the world trying to interpret this situation and that situation, what would we do to become receptive to vision?
It's really about letting go of the need to control the narrative. Instead of immediately jumping to conclusions or trying to fit everything into our pre-existing mental boxes, it's about pausing, taking a breath, and just observing without judgment. It's allowing things to simply be without needing to label them good or bad, right or wrong. That's when you start to open up to a different kind of seeing, a more expansive vision.
It seems like at the foundational level, we have to allow for this oneness, right? For the possibility that we can receive guidance, that we are really not alone or separate from this divine intelligence. Because otherwise, to, so to speak, stop thinking for ourselves can only perhaps serve to amplify fear. But if we do that in the context of the awareness, like this lesson says, I cannot see apart from God, then now it is shifting to receptivity of something even greater.
Absolutely. If you believe you're truly alone, then letting go of your own thinking feels terrifying, like you're just drifting into the unknown. But if you accept that you're part of something larger, something that is guiding you, then letting go becomes an act of trust, a way to tap into a deeper intelligence. It's the difference between falling into an abyss and falling into open arms.
That's beautiful. So what is it then that really changes when we stop trusting the body's eyes and the body's past to be our interpreters of reality, that become willing to see through a different lens?
Stop trusting just the body's eyes and past experiences. Everything shifts. You realize that the reality you thought you knew was just a story, and there's a whole different, more expansive one available. It's like switching from a blurry black and white TV to a high-definition full-color experience. The world doesn't change, but your perception of it radically does. You start to see the love, the connection, the inherent goodness that was always there, just obscured by your old filters.
Is that what this lesson points to as darkness when it says, I cannot see in darkness?
Yeah, I think so. The darkness isn't an external force. It's the absence of that vision, the clinging to those old limited filters. It's when we're trying to see with eyes that aren't meant to truly see and relying on a past that only shows us what we've already experienced. That's the real darkness, the self-imposed blindness to the light that's always present.
Kind of perhaps even those places in our life where we normalized, let's call it really confusion as clarity. Would you say so?
Totally. It's like we convince ourselves that our confused, fragmented view is the only realistic way to see things, and anything else is just naive. We normalize the darkness, essentially. And then when someone suggests there's another way, it can feel disorienting because we've gotten so comfortable in our confusion.
How about when it's talking about God is my source? Does that point to that really there's nothing external that can define us, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's saying that your true essence, your true identity comes from that divine source, not from anything external. Not from your job, your relationships, your achievements, or even your failures. Those are all just temporary expressions. Your real you is sourced in something much deeper and unchanging.
So what do you think would collapse if we stopped sourcing our identity from circumstances?
Oh man, a whole lot would collapse. The need to constantly defend ourselves, the fear of not being enough, the endless striving for external validation. All those things that build up that fragile, circumstantial identity would just melt away. What's left is a deep, unshakable sense of self that doesn't need circumstances to define it. It's terrifying and liberating at the same time.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Like what we're talking about, it's so easy to get lost again in the intellectualization of it. Yeah, it's like this, and God is my source, and God is the mind with which I think. But what would it actually mean to recognize that every true thought is shared, and that the story that we have, this individual separate self narrative, is completely meaningless, even to the degree that we find the conversation of passers-by when we walk on the street meaningless. In that very same way is the voice in our mind that is speaking on behalf of the separate self in the language of the world in which we speak is also meaningless.
Yeah, it's easy to intellectualize it because the ego loves to play with concepts. But if you really lean into the idea that your deepest thoughts are shared, that they come from a universal source, and that the constant chatter of the separate self is just noise, it's a game changer. It means all that internal struggle, all that self-criticism, all that, comparing yourself to others, that's all just part of a story you don't actually have to believe. The freedom comes when you stop giving meaning to that internal monologue and realize it's just like background chatter, just like those passers-by. What if you didn't have to respond to every thought that popped into your head?
Yeah, I think this is the crux of it, and it's not even every thought. What if you could just allow all the thoughts to be as they are without having to do anything about them, without having to make any of them about you or about others? Like literally like the wind through the trees or the song of the birds in the morning. It is just there, and we no longer base our life on it. Is that the core that these lessons are pointing to?
I think so. I think that's the absolute core. It's the realization that you're not your thoughts, and you don't have to engage with every single one of them. You can just observe them, like you said, like the wind or the birds, and when you do that, the meaning you've assigned to them and to your own identity that's built on them starts to dissolve. That's where the real spaciousness and peace come in.
Yeah, so if God goes with me, if God is my strength, my source, the light by which I see, the mind with which I think, then what exactly is separate, right? Like, is the spiritual journey really about finding God, or simply about realizing that we have never thought or seen or moved or lived or breathed apart from the infinite creator?
I think it's the latter. It's not about finding something new, but about remembering what was always true. The spiritual journey then becomes less about an arduous quest and more about an undoing, a shedding of the illusions that made us believe we were ever separate in the first place. It's a remembering of our inherent wholeness.
I think this is the key, right? To really recognize that God is not guiding us from afar, right? Not like intervening occasionally when we deserve it. God is the very condition of our life, the ground of our thinking, the source of any power whatsoever that is within our capacity to wield. And perhaps the question underneath it all is that if God never left, if we never left God, then where did we imagine we were and are?
It's like we conjured up a whole elaborate dream of separation and then got totally lost in it. But where did we imagine we were is the dream itself, the illusion of being somewhere else, apart from the truth. And the whole point of these lessons is to gently wake us up from that dream, not by forcing it, but by showing us that it was never real to begin with.
Beautiful. Shanti, as we bring this contemplation to a close, I want to invite you to perhaps share with us the deeper meaning, revealing that is available here in this lesson, as well as perhaps any blind spots that you see that could keep us from really receiving the gift that is here.
The deeper meaning here is that true freedom and peace aren't something you achieve or earn. They're your natural state, always present because your very being is rooted in God. It's about recognizing that you're never actually separate from your source of strength, vision, and thought. As for blind spots, I think one of the biggest is the belief that we have to figure everything out on our own, or that we need to struggle to be worthy of this connection. It's the ingrained habit of trying to be self-sufficient in a way that denies our true interdependence. Another one is mistaking the ego's persistent chatter for our own true voice, and constantly engaging with it as if it holds ultimate truth.
Yeah, beautiful. I really appreciate your perspectives here, and as we come to the close of this time, I want to invite you as the listener to once again open beyond the conceptual mind that speaks in symbols and language, and come into full contact with just this, what the Course calls the holy instant. Allow the revelation to unfold that you're not abandoned, you're not alone figuring things out, you're not navigating this reality without guidance. The source of your life has never left you, and the fact that you hear these words, the fact that you breathe, the fact that you exist, is proof of that. So if you remember today, even once, that God, the infinite creator, goes with you wherever you go, then mark this moment for yourself. Share your insights and realizations in the comments below the video. And now, let us go into the silence.